Hi, I'm Sydney Hughes, one half of Team Hugh 2. My teammate Erin Hughes will join us in just a moment. We're two master's students creating a website to help demystify AI for K through 12 educators. To kick off our Alpha 100 presentation, we'll revisit our initial plans for the alpha stage of our project. They were to set up the site, like our hosting, fonts, theme, everything, complete our site skeleton with navigation, build out our homepage, build out our first lesson page, and draft our very first lesson. As you'll see, we accomplished all of that and a lot more. Now, we'll walk you through our project at its current state. We'll start on our homepage. You'll see here and really throughout the entire site how we've incorporated our updated design system. We have our updated logo that is a modified version of the Russo 1 typeface. You can see we've connected some of the letters to really emphasize AI and ed. And we've added a playful spark to our double eyes. You can see that same double spark in our pictorial mark, the robot's actual eyes in our favicon. Our typography on our buttons and calls to actions have all been updated to reflect our current design system. We've also renamed some items in our navigation for added clarity. We decided to switch from Learn, Teach, and Develop to a more aptly named Learn, Implement, and Collaborate. Now we'll head over to our Learn page. You can see we've gone ahead and fleshed out what our lessons will be for each of our categories: Intro to AI, AI in Education, and AI Ethics. We added all of their titles, a brief description, and an image. We knew it would be a challenge from the very beginning to figure out how to incorporate imagery for something as abstract as AI. Thankfully, Erin came across Google DeepMind's Visualizing AI project, which commissions artists from all over the world to share their interpretations of AI based on conversations with scientists, engineers, and ethicists. We decided this was the perfect place for us to source all of our images from. Now we'll take a look at our first lesson. We've done some minor but important updates to this lesson. We've adjusted some verbiage, like clarifying what we mean by AI's capabilities and functionalities, and adjusted some of our interactive elements, like the direction our flip cards flip, and updated our tested out activity box. Speaking of our activities, we'll go ahead and move on to our brand new implement page. This is where we'll house all of our practices, activities, and tools for our users. We learned during our user interviews that our users became much more interested in learning about AI when they could see how it would directly benefit them. This became incredibly apparent here in our first drafted activity, where we guide our users through an interaction with a chat box modeled after ChatGPT by using OpenAI's API. Like you saw at the bottom of our What is AI lesson, we plan to also link to these activities and practices in any of the applicable lessons that we have. Also, during our user interviews, we further validated our users' desire to collaborate with one another. We're currently working to develop a collaboration space in the form of a form on our Collaborate page. This is something we plan to explore further in the beta stage of our project. Lastly, we've added an About page. Here we've explained who we are, why we've made this site, a note about where we're sourcing our images from, and a way for users to contact us. Now I'll let Erin tell you a little bit more about what's next.
Thanks, Sydney. Now that we have our main plans for all our learning lessons set, up next we'll be working on first drafts for the remaining lessons. We'll continue to plan out our activities for our implement page and begin drafting those as well. As we mentioned earlier, we're still in the beginning stages of our Collaborate page forum, so we'll also be continuing to develop that. And we still need to finish our glossary, which we've been experimenting with the look of and hope to debut soon. We learned a few things through our user interviews that we will carry forward as we develop the rest of our content. For instance, one user mentioned being confused at first by the different types of AI in the first lesson, as some types have more than one name. She thought it would be helpful to mention how we'll be referring to the terms throughout the site. We've already adjusted the existing lesson to make the overall terminology a bit clearer, but still need to decide on the best location to add a note about our site-wide usage. We have a few other smaller things that we definitely want to address at some point during beta, such as the default comments block on our lessons. We feel it's important for users to have a place to discuss the lesson at hand, but have yet to figure out a way to replace the built-in comments block with our custom block that has a background on it. Some other ways we think we could add value and interactivity to Explained's lessons would be giving users a way to track progress and possibly earn badges and achievements. We'd also like to be able to ask low-stakes questions or take polls in between chunks of information. We've already identified the two places we could do this in our first lesson and mocked up how one of them could look. Ideally, we would be able to reveal an answer or show poll results right there under a question. We found plugins that can do all three of the above, but none are free. So our search for an all-in-one solution continues. As Sydney mentioned, we were able to accomplish even more during alpha than we originally set out to. Some of that additional progress sprang from the design system we were simultaneously developing in our UX class. So we wanted to mention some of the feedback we got. Our peers especially liked our colors, our logos, and the typography. They also commended us for having such a thorough design system, but we know we'll need to add details to a handful of pages. One thing we should have included, but we didn't, was an example page in our imagery section to show how all the different visual elements work together. Several classmates thought our abstract images seemed out of place and clashed with the rest of our branding. Our instructor also expressed skepticism about the stroked blobs that liven up our page backgrounds, saying they reminded her of topographic maps. We totally understand why people might be thinking this way based on how it was presented in the design system, but we are confident our imagery works well when viewed together in context. In addition to omitting an example page, we likely chose the wrong example images for the first draft of our design system. However, we are happy with how the visualizing AI images look with the rest of our branding and think they will add more value than stock art of classrooms or robots, especially as the intent of visualizing AI is right in line with our mission of making AI more accessible to educators. For the most part, this and any remaining criticisms are easy fixes to the design system doc that we've either already begun to make or will be making soon. They shouldn't affect the site at all, but we'll be sure to let you know if they do. Overall, as you can see, our current plans for the beta stage are still in line with our original plans for beta, which were continuing the development of our resources and guides, refining the look of everything, and taking in any feedback and making adjustments. While the development of the design system did give us clarity on a variety of things, particularly our components, we have some questions that arose during alpha that we will need to answer during the beta stage, such as when to leverage our professional connections, what to do about the cost of OpenAI's API, and how to add impact and information to our homepage. We would love any feedback or suggestions you have on these three areas. As we've mentioned before, one of our strengths in this project is our professional proximity to experts on education and artificial intelligence and on using AI in education. We want to ensure we're taking advantage of this, but aren't totally clear on when and how best to do it. We know from users it will help to be able to say our content is backed by research or validated by experts in the university or school system. Should we reach out now? Do we wait until next semester when our content is set? How many experts should we ask to look at our content and give their seal of approval? Are there other ways we could leverage these connections? A lingering issue we have is really wanting to include an activity where our users interact with a chatbot similar to ChatGPT. The best solution we've found so far is using a plugin with OpenAI's API. However, we do have to pay for calls to the API. In our limited testing and with password protection, it has been relatively inexpensive. We think this will work for the purposes of our project, but it's not sustainable in the long term should our site gain widespread usage. Do we stick with what we have for now or adjust immediately? Would our user experience be too diminished if we just redirected them to an external site to try out our exercises? Do you have any ideas or other solutions? We'd also love to get your thoughts on our homepage. We're continuously evaluating it and exploring ways for it to have more impact. Obviously, we want our users to see the value in AI and in our site right away. We're not sure if that would be best executed through a short explainer video or potentially animations in the hero or right underneath, or if simple text will communicate it best. Still, a bonus with our use of the visualizing AI imagery is that the project also includes some really cool animations like the one on screen, which we could easily incorporate into any video or animation feature should we go that route. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed our Alpha 100 presentation and we'll see you soon for our beta demos.